welcome to the day 3 recap of Heist League. So we haven't made too many changes since the last video, but I decided to share the build since for now this is a point where I'm pretty happy with the build, and if I were just to boss farm like I do every league, this is pretty much the setup I would go with. I don't really need to make any more changes, even though I can still min-max quite a bit on it, and of course upgrade gear. I don't think it's needed since I pretty much phase all the bosses instantly, except stuff like Uberelder and Awakener 8, which is a bit more tricky since they move a lot, but I'll get to that later in the video. So first of all, we're still using the exact same support gems as I did last video. I did get a 21 Purifying Flame, but mind you that I only recently got this, and the only thing you'll see later that has the 21 is Awakener 8. Everything before that, Guardians and stuff like that, I got one shot. That was even with a level 20 gem. And this is cheap anyway, it was like 30 or 40 chaos, so it's not that big of a deal. My gloves are still the same, my belt is still the same, my boots are still the same. I think everything is still the same, except the amulet. I bought this yesterday night, so right after the other video I uploaded. I went to craft an amulet and I was looking for either +1 to all fire skill gems or Fizz as extra fire. And then I started crafting one, but this one popped up for 1 exalt and I decided to buy it. Since there's a lot of damage on the amulet, it also has spell damage and tier 1 crit multi. Unfortunately I had to settle for crafted life, but for an amulet with this much damage I think it's very good to go for that. As for the rest, we still have our weapon swap to our trusty staff here that we crafted day 1 pretty much, with Fireball, Minefield, GMP, High Impact, Inspiration and Fork. Now I've thought a couple of times about changing the staff to get something better, since this is a very bad staff, but I can easily clear tier 16 maps even with this staff with any mods, so I didn't really see the need to invest more in something I don't really need. And now if I decide to keep playing this build and min-max it a bit more, then I definitely will change the staff, but probably I would change a lot of stuff around in the setup. So also one thing I want to go over with, since I saw a comment last video on how sequencing works, since I did mention that most of your damage comes from sequencing mines. So what Tremor Roll does is gives you Socket Gems or like by level 10 Blast Chain Mine, and even if you're not using Tremor Rolls, Blast Chain Mine, now if you don't sequence, so I'll first explain what sequencing is. So once you throw all your mines down and then you press detonate once, this starts a sequence. Now all the mines that detonate after that are mines in the sequence, and what Blast Chain Mine does is you get 5% more damage for each mine detonated in the sequence. So what that means is you technically want to have as many mines detonate in the same sequence, and that's why having more mines placed is very good, and that's why also the mines can be detonated an additional time on the Tremor Roll is very strong for this type of build. Since the sequence fillers go, well, the mines there broke since the timer ran out, but that's what you want to do. Now, what other people do, and especially the people who just put detonate on left click, you can't really have a sequence going that way, which is fine for mapping since you don't need the damage really. You can just insta detonate and spam detonate, but on bosses, you'll see some clips later in the video where I didn't properly sequence, or when bosses start moving around and then I have to throw a couple of mines, detonate, a couple of mines, detonate. It has a lot less damage and is definitely noticeable. So you don't wanna on bosses just throw and keep spamming detonate, even later on in the fight. So, because as you can see here, the sequences end instantly pretty much, and every time I detonate again, a new sequence starts. So what you want to do on a boss is ideally you just want to lay all your mines, and then you want to also place the curse or anything else you have. So in my case, Stormbrand for EE. I place EE, the boss spawns, I press detonate once. And usually, I already know from the mines I have that this is enough damage to one-shot pretty much Guardians and Conquerors. So you will see in a couple clips later that I pretty much just one-shot stuff from one sequence. Now the annoying part comes when bosses don't get one-shot or when they start moving. You want to try and place as many mines as you comfortably can. Now you still have to dodge and evade stuff, so mine throwing speed would definitely help here. But you want to throw a couple of mines, again detonate once. The boss again will lose some health, then you want to throw some more mines, again detonate. So you don't just want to spam. Sometimes I still spam if I know the boss is about to die, but that's pretty much how you sequence. Keep in mind that not for all mines you have to play with the playstyle that you have to place mines and sequence, but that's pretty much where the strength from Tremorald comes in, and also from Blast Chain Mine, the support gem. As you can see, for example, now my Fireball, I don't use Blast Chain Mine, but I use High Impact Mine, since Fireball is what I use for mapping, so I pretty much just throw and insta detonate every time. So Blast Chain Mine would pretty much not do very much. That's why I use High Impact Mine. So if you don't want a sequence, just use High Impact Mine. If you do, and especially if you're using a Tremorald, since Blast Chain Mine comes already on the rod, you definitely want to see how to sequence on bosses, because this will increase your damage by a lot. As for the rest of the gems, still pretty much the same. I'm still leveling this. It's actually level 20, so I'll probably flip this, or I will probably just fall it actually, because quality I don't think it does much on this. Just AoE, so we'll just go, and we got another 21. It's only like 30 or 40 kills, so it's not that much, but definitely nice. So we still have Vitality, Arrowlevash, Skitterballs. Again, still not using the Vitality. This just ended up being a gem that's filling my socket right now. Volgrace, Steel Skin, Arcane Surge, Flame Dash, and then Flame Ability with Conviction, Hex Touch, and Cast When Mistaken. Haven't changed around the curse either. And then we have Stormbrand in our ring to get EE. As for the rest in the build, so the flasks are still the same. I've thought about switching the Taste of Hate for a Cinder Swallow, which would be pretty nice for some extra damage, and also sustain during mapping. And next up, this passive tree, which is still exactly the same, I believe. I did pick up a point here, since I pretty much just leveled. Well, I'm not expecting to level, since I'm dying a lot of times. I did slash that 96 times. And I think the last video I had something in the 60s, and I was already level 91 or something. So I do die quite a lot at this level, but there's nothing new there. So we still are using the Thread of Hope here, but realistically I don't think it's that worth it. Since again, this node is fit as extra lightning, which lightning damage, we don't have any lightning pen, and on top of that we're also using EE on lightning, so that doesn't do that much. And then here for the conversion, which we can either get a Watcher's Eye, since conversion isn't that expensive, but we'd have to switch a lot around, so I decided to just leave this as is for now. So that's a skill 3. I think at this point as well you can drop, so technically it's a level 91 skill 3, and that's with having Alira for my bandits, so realistically you can get a few points and maybe look into doing a cluster, but I haven't messed around with that. So that's the build for now. I think I have my Pantheons. Using this, for once I actually did upgrade them. Thought that they would help me a bit more about surviving, but of course Pantheons, they don't do that all too much, so you can choose whatever you want. So that is pretty much the build. If you're just looking for bossing and you don't mind about dying, then this build will work totally fine, just like my Ball Lightning Miner last league. You can easily farm any boss you want and make some nice money. So now I will talk about my plans for the league and how I'm going about stuff. So first of all, this league I decided to take it a bit slower than others, so I don't just wanna grind bosses to make money. I haven't even really looked at boss prices, but I don't think they're amazing, other than Uber at Zeri, which is good profit, but it's not a big profit. Also this league I don't really feel like bossing all too much, which is why I've been thinking about changing the miner around. Now I have a couple of things I can do. Realistically, I will just keep playing with this setup and make some more currency before I really make up my mind. So the couple of options I have in mind. So first of all, my biggest annoyance at the moment is that I kind of want to level up. Since if I'm not planning to boss for money and I'm just mapping and you're not leveling while mapping, then realistically I'm not making money, I'm not having fun, so what am I really doing? So the first thing is my original plan pretty much to make live region work on this build, which is first step to get vitality up, which isn't that difficult since I pretty much just need to put in a line here, and then respec this point and this point to get this 4% reduced mana reserved, and both of those together will already make me run vitality. Now realistically I don't think vitality by itself will be enough regen, even though they did buff it quite a bit, since how I'll plan on stacking regen. So first of all, my base regen is 98. Now when you throw mines from your ascendancy, as you can see, this goes to 640, and then when I step on the consecrated ground it goes to 970, since Purifying Flame creates consecrated ground, which also gives you regen. So I have 970 there. Now if I were to also run vitality, let's see how high it goes. So 12, 24, which is already a nice amount. Now I wanted to further enhance this, since there is Detonate Mind Gem. I don't have it now to showcase it, but what detonates Mind Gem with one of the alternate qualities, you can get 0.2% life regen per mine detonated. So when we have like 27 mines that we detonate, that will probably get us, depending on how long it lasts, the effect, we can probably get another 5% life regen, which that would get us another roughly 300 life regen or something like that. So we'd be around 1.6k or something like that, or 1.7k even. Then we can also further add a stone golem, which gives us again more regen. And then of course I kind of want to keep this point, which is 1% lesion. And then you can also look into getting a Vitality Watcher's Eye for either life recovery rate or percent regen. I think the life recovery rate is probably better, since the percent life regen on the Watchers is only 1.5%. So with all those things, you can realistically get well over 2k life regen per second, which I think would be really good. But the main issue I haven't bothered with it is pretty much the sockets. I don't really have too many gems I can drop. Maybe if I drop this setup, I pretty much have to fill in the Stone Golem, the Detonate Mind support gem. Also have to link it with Enhanced support to really get the big quality bonus out of it. So it's too many gems, but maybe I'll mess around with it and go that route, because that definitely will help me from dying less. The other option I've also thought about is dropping the Tremorld playstyle, so I don't have to sequence. Maybe go for a strong wand and a shield, but then I'd have to get a 6-link body, and pretty much just change the whole build around to just be more tanky. I will definitely lose a lot of damage going that route though, which is pretty much why I've been hesitant about it, since I still want a boss killer on this build that can kill bosses very fast and easily. So that's another option I have. And then the next option I've thought about is pretty much just respeccing into a mapper build. Pretty much just skipping what I always do every league and farm bosses. Just have a solid mapper and just enjoy the league map, complete all my challenges. The only issue I see with that is I kind of want to find a build that's a fast mapper but can also kill Awakener 8. Since I really don't want a map when I don't have a character to kill Awakener 8, I think that's pretty useless. And also I want to find some tanky build on top of that, since I kind of want to level to 100 this league. So I'll see what my plans are. As for now, I'm probably just gonna stick with this setup. If you're just looking into farming bosses for money, like I said, this setup will definitely work. Currently I have 12 exalts, probably another 6.5 exalt here. And then I have this Watchers that I dropped and this. Now mind you, I did get pretty lucky today. I think I dropped in presence a Chaos Wand with Despair from Elder, which sold for 5 exalts, which is also where I got this Watcher's Eye, so I pretty much got an 8 exalt drop from Red Elder. And then did a couple more bosses. I managed to get a Ferrule and sold the chest Ferrule's Fur, which was another 3 or 4 exalts. So that's pretty much where the most of this money came from. But we still have a couple of things here to sell. I think this is my 3rd Thread of Hope, and I've done pretty much just did Awakener 8, so I think that's 4 Awakeners in total. We dropped 3 Thread of Hopes and 1 Helm, so that's very lucky. But I've rambled on long enough, so this is where I wrap up the video. Hope you're having a good league, and I'll see you in the next one.
aquí.